What we were going to talk about today was how do you use LinkedIn to find jobs in finance, and how do you effectively use LinkedIn to get your desired job that you want. Just a quick background about myself. I have around 16 years of experience in the field of finance. Within the field of finance, I work in Treasury. So that's typically an area where you deal with risk management. It could be currency risk, it could be commodity risk, fundraising, investing surplus money of companies into various asset classes. So that's what I have done in my past, and that's my career trajectory. And great. So I started my first job in Adani, moved into ICICI Bank, a small setup in Treasury field, moved into Airtel, and then at EY. And all of these times, I was in the field of Treasury. And currently, I'm in Motherson, where I lead the group Treasury out here. And whenever I look at any problem statement, I always look at it from a consultant side because I worked at EY. I always look at the area of finance from a banking side because I've worked with ICICI, and I look at the area of finance from a corporate side because I've worked in Adani, in Airtel, and now at Motherson. So what I carry with myself is my three-sided coin. And when I'm going to talk about today, or when I talk about any area, I always look at things from these three different perspectives so that I'm able to give the maximum value to you. Now, the topic that we are going to talk about today was how do you use LinkedIn for effective job search? And maybe the obvious that we all know. And I'm not going to talk about very basic things in LinkedIn कि LinkedIn में क्या करना चाहिए, कैसे करना चाहिए, वो तो सबको पता है. But what I'm going to talk about today are some more value added stuff which gets missed out. But when you do your job search, the most obvious thing that you have to do is you have to research the company that you are going for an interview. For an interview, you have to figure out, or if you can, you find out who's the interviewer so that you can understand or you can know what that person's background is, what this person's capability is. You do the background check on the roles and responsibilities or the job profile. You make an appropriate CV. So all of these are the obvious that you do when you have to when you are looking for a job. But how do you use LinkedIn to find that job? This is once you get a job, you do all of these four steps. But before that is the step zero, which means that how do you find a job and how do you use LinkedIn to find that job? Now, what I'm going to show you is a very easy way, very basic stuff on LinkedIn. If you just write hiring and the company name, and I've used my past company, EY, as an example, and I did this just today, half an hour ago. So if you see on the bottom right side, I've highlighted that I just did this at 5:30 in the evening, saying just wrote hiring EY, and I get posts of people, and I selected post in the last 24 hours. You can do it in the last 1 week, and you can find out anyone who has posted on LinkedIn where they want to hire, and they are hiring at EY. And this could be hiring Google. You can type hiring ICICI Bank. You can type in hiring Infosys, or hiring Google, Microsoft, any company that you want to go to. Maybe you have 5 or 10 companies in mind. You can type in hiring Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, whatever company, just type it, and you'll get a list of posts where people would have posted on LinkedIn where they are hiring. Now, obviously, you will want to reply to people that are within the company because that's the direct way of hiring. And you would not want to reply to posts where someone has posted, a consultant has posted. It's better if you reply to posts where someone directly has written from the company. Another way that is very useful is if you know the email ID of that company. So again, at EY, because I know the email ID, at EY, everyone's email ID. So if I'm Pranav Chudgar, my email ID would be pranav.chudgar@in.ey.com. And I know this domain Now, whenever I'm posting on LinkedIn, and historically I have posted for jobs on LinkedIn, and I would always say that if you are the right candidate, please email it to me at pranav.chudgar, and then I'll write my company email ID. So all I've done is that I've searched by that email domain. And again, I get posts where people would have said that they are hiring in this company and whatever that relevant experience. So obviously, this is at a fairly senior level experience. Another one is someone that they are looking across from 6 months to 8 years. So across different designations is where this person is looking at. And here in this case, the HR has directly posted it. So obviously, all the more chances of interacting with the HR and asking them of what the job opening is. So this is like a very, very basic way of figuring out what are the jobs in the companies that you would want to go in. So I call this as target finding. You figure out 10, 15, 20 companies, no matter how many companies you want to go to. You make a list of that. You find out what is the email ID. And obviously you can ask your friends, or you can just go by a generic thing if you don't know. So let's say I want to go in JP Morgan. I don't know what the email ID of JP Morgan would be. I can just do @jpmorgan.com. See if you get any results. You can do @in.jpmorgan.com or @jpmorgan.in, jpm.in, in.jpm. Use those combinations if you don't know the exact email ID, and you will find it out. And maybe you can make a group within 2, 3 of your friends. You try to find for 5 companies, your friend tries to find for 5 companies. So that way you work with each other to find out more companies that are hiring and use this method. So obviously, this is the most basic way that you can find out what are the jobs that are available in a company. And while I talk about this, let me make it very clear that it's not like an easy thing of landing a job. It's not easy that आपने आज सर्च शुरू किया और 5 दिन में मिल गई, 10 दिन में मिल गई. Obviously, this is a lengthy exercise. It's not that a quick win that happens. It's not that it comes easily. You'll have to work for it. It takes time to find the right job. It takes time to land at the right place that you want. Now, a lot of times the mistake that I have seen people doing is that they would know that I work at EY, and this is some 6-8 months back. And this screenshot that I'm showing is from last year. So somewhere in between October and December of 2021, while I was at EY, typically any candidate feels कि अगर मुझे जॉब चाहिए तो मुझे HR को LinkedIn पे ढूंढना है, उनको मैसेज करना है कि do you have an opening, or you reach out to anyone working in that company, message them that is there any opening in the company. Obviously, that's what we all feel is the right approach, but that's just a partial approach. It's only half approach, half baked. This is my messages between October and December, and you can see the number of messages that I got where around these people, and this is just an extract of it, where people would have messaged me, where students or existing people who are working would have messaged me saying that, is there an opening in EY? Here is my CV. So if I get these many messages, imagine the number of messages each one of a person who's hiring or who's in the HR would get every day on their LinkedIn. So my question would be that, why should I hire you? Why should I take you in my team or take you in my company? Or for that matter, why should I refer you to another team that is hiring? So this is a mistake that people do, that they randomly send messages to the people working in their target company saying that this is my CV, this is my background, is there any opening? My question always is that, why should I choose the person who messaged me on November 1st versus the person who messaged me on November 5th? I don't know them. I've never interacted with them. So why should I even look at their CV? Why should I even spend 5 minutes in looking at what they have? And again, let me give you another example. someone messaged me way back in October 2017 saying that this person had been working for the last 6 years in the corporate treasury, which is my field. I work in treasury. This person also works in treasury. So this person messaged me saying that, is there any opening? Then in September of 21, she again messaged me saying, is there any vacancy in finance treasury accounts? And a week back, she again messaged me saying that, is there any vacancy in treasury finance accounts? So this is over the last 4 or 5 years that she messaged me 3 times. And while I was at EY between 2017 and 2022 that I was there, I hired people with similar background, 6, 7 years, 5 to 7 years experience. While I joined Motherson and 3 months back, I am creating my own team and I am interviewing people, but I have not interviewed her in spite of this person being from a very similar background. Anyone wants to take a guess of why I did not reach out to this person who might be relevant or who might have relevant work experience, but yet I did not have an incentive to reach out to this person? Would you want to take a guess of why such a thing would have happened? So Manju is saying referral. Ayush is saying might be CV is not available. Okay. Anyone else wants to give it a shot? 5 years did nothing. Okay. Okay. Pankaj is saying did not mention skills. She did not provide complete details. Karthik saying not clear in communication. Incorrect way to ask for request. Shivani, fairly accurate what Shivani said, and maybe what Shivam is saying, that I did not find any connect with that person, which is also partly correct. So imagine that I reach out to you and I tell you कि मुझे पैसे चाहिए. How will you react to it? So I can see, let me just pull up my chat and so I can see Dhanush in the chat window and I tell Dhanush, can you lend me 1,000 rupees? Obviously, Dhanush will say, who are you? I don't even know you. It's just been 20 minutes that I'm interacting with you. Why should I give you 1,000 rupees? So Rishita, yes, it's all about give and take. And that's the whole crux of it. That in the past 5 years or 6 years, she only messaged me 3 times. All the 3 times it was about, is there any job? In the 6 years, she did not interact or she did not make that effort to make any formal or informal channel of communication with me to tilt my decision in her favor, selecting her when I'm taking any interview. Now, how do you do that? As in, obviously, it's not like a quick win, which I said that आपने आज मैसेज करा और 3 दिन बाद किसी ने आपको जॉब दे दी या किसी ने आपको इंटरव्यू दे दिया. It's a long process that happens. So, for example, if I was in her place, maybe what I would have done is what I'm going to talk about in the next some of the slides. So, obviously, how do you use LinkedIn effectively? The simple one, find the right people. So, for example, if this person wanted a job in EY in Treasury, she found the right person. Maybe I was hiring. She knew that I was in a position that I could hire people. I'm building my own team. But for you, if you are looking for people who would be that right person, what you have to do is again figure out the area that you want to get in. It could be finance. Within finance, you want to get into equity research. Within finance, you want to get into front office trading. You would want to go into, say, analytics or research kind of an macroeconomic research. So figure out the area that you want to go into. Find people on LinkedIn who are with similar skill sets, maybe in the same company that you want to get into. So if you want to get into a bank, find the department or figure out the department that you want to go in, figure out or find the people on LinkedIn that are there in this area. And I'm not going to go into very basic stuff of how to find people on LinkedIn. I'm assuming we all know that. Now, a pro tip here that I will give you is that try to find people who are junior in the work experience. So if you are a fresher or if you are just 1 year experience, Find out people who are between 3 to 5 years of experience. Why do I say that? Primarily because they will have time to reply to you, or they will have time to interact with you. And how to interact, I'm going to come up in that. But it's a pro tip that I always have, is that if I have to, and maybe say I'm 16 years of experience, if I'm looking for a change, I will target someone who is just 1 or 2 years senior to me or 4 years senior to me, someone who I can relate to. The other right person would be to find senior people in your area. So make two sets of people. One is junior people who are just a few years more experienced than you. And the other is find leaders who are very experienced in your area and who keep posting regularly on LinkedIn. Now, for those people that you have identified, there is a bell icon on LinkedIn. So when you go to anyone's profile, and you can check it if you have not done it yet, you can go to my profile, for example, or anyone's profile. There will be a bell icon just like the subscribe or any other icon that happens. And you click on it and it activates notifications. What it means is that whenever I post anything on LinkedIn, you get a notification that Pranav has posted. Same way, if you start following Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, or maybe I saw yesterday or day before that Rishabh Pant has started being active on LinkedIn. He has joined the LinkedIn for Creator group, and I saw his first post yesterday. So I activated the bell icon on it, which means that every time that Rishabh Pant now posts on LinkedIn, I get a notification. Once you get a notification of the person, start engaging with that post. So for example, I post a lot on the financial markets, on treasury, and a bit on careers. So when I post something, and if you have activated the notification, whatever I've posted, engage on my post for some time with some value adding comments, and not just a generic stuff saying nice post. Yes, what you are saying is true. That's very generic. Try to add value to the content that I have written, so that I also get that understanding that the person who has posted knows about the subject. And believe me, social media is all about psychology, and that kick that you get of seeing the number of conversations that happen on your post, the number of like and comments that happen on your post. No matter how big the influencer that person is, when he posts something, he will want to know how many people have interacted in the first 30 minutes, because that's how algorithms work. That's how your post is more relevant if there are more interactions in the first 30 minutes. So when you post something relevant in the first 30 minutes, when I take my phone and I post something and I see that there is a notification in my post, I will immediately go on to it and read about what is written, who has written. And again, the algorithm works in such a way that if I comment on that reply, so you post something on my post and I reply on that, the algorithm treats it as more interaction, and it will continue to show on top of everyone. So as a LinkedIn creator, as someone who has posted, I will engage with people who have commented on my post. So if Dhanush has commented on my post today and I engage with him, I remember that yes, Dhanush posted something. 2 3 days later, when I post something and again Dhanush comments on it, I register again that Dhanush is commenting on my post. So do this for 3 4 times, and that's where you would have built some rapport with the person who is the person who works in a company and in a department that you want to go into. Now, it could be that you are commenting on a person who works in the company, but in different department. That's okay. You could be commenting on someone that works in the department or the function that you want to go in, but maybe not in the company that you want to go. That's also okay. But build this ecosystem for the next 20, 25, 30 days where you are commenting on people's posts, so that you are targeting people or you are interacting with people at 3 levels. One could be the companies that you want to go with. You're interacting with people in companies that you want to go with. The other could be you are interacting with people in the function or role that you want to go in. And the third is you are interacting with people who are working in the company and the department that you want to go in. So the third is the best case. The first and second are still good. And while you do this, after some time, maybe just drop in a message. And by this time, you would have already sent a connection request. So you can message them, drop in a message saying that I learned, and write some specific thing that what you have learned from the post. And you can mention that you want to learn more about the kind of work that is done at Google, or maybe the kind of work that is done at JP Morgan in the front office department. Maybe you mention that I want to know about what happens in ICICI's investment banking division. Comment, write a message. Obviously, we all work in probabilities. So if you write to 10 people, maybe 3 people will reply, 4 people will reply. Not everyone is going to reply. But if you have engaged with someone for the last 5 days, 7 days, 10 days, 30 days, there is a very high probability that the person will reply back to your message saying that if you want to know more, let's get on a chat. Let's take 15 minutes of time to interact. So customize your message. You can say that I want to learn about the work. Can we set up a Zoom call? Can we get on a telephone call? Can we meet in person if you are in the same city? So these days, because of the post-COVID or COVID experiences, people are very comfortable with doing a Zoom call, 15-minute Zoom call, 30-minute Zoom call. They are also comfortable with meeting in person. So depending on how you position yourself, if you want to meet in person, write that. If you want to do a Zoom call because you are in different cities, or maybe you don't want to travel, write that. But make that effort of taking that step of opening the channel to talk to the person. Now, what do you talk with that person? Let's say you are interacting with me. I was in EY and you did this with me for the last 30 days. And now you want to, I said that, yes, let's meet or let's talk. What do you do next? So obviously you have to research about the company. You have to research about what is it that is being done in the company. You have to show that you have put in the hard work of researching. Otherwise, those 15 minutes or 30 minutes, what will you talk with that person? So you need to show that even if you want to speak for 15 minutes with them, showcase that you did your research of 30 minutes or 1 hour before the meeting. And that research could be about the company, about the person, about the work that is done, about the industry that the person is, any and everything that you can get to research about. Next, you ask about, once you meet them or you are talking to them over Zoom or telephone, ask about what are the skills that are needed to do this job. What are the responsibilities that are needed? How does a typical day look like in work like this? While you do that, you also showcase your expertise in that area. Now, you are interested in a particular area is because you have either done some summer internships or you have done some projects. Showcase what you have done in that area and then mention that you are looking for a job. So that's a better way of approaching. It's a lengthier way, but it has more chances of conversion rather than just sending 100 messages to random people on LinkedIn and not getting a reply. This is more focused target conversations that you are doing, and you are pinpointing to what you want. So that's something that I'm leaving with you in terms of what should you do. Let me give you a relevant example because there are CAs and BCom people who are in the conversation. Let's say there was this crypto tax that was applicable in the last, I think it kicked in on 1st July, where you have to pay 1% as STDS for every transaction that you do. And you are a CA student or you are a BCom student. You want to get in the field of trading, or maybe you want to know more about the blockchain technology and you want to interact with an expert or someone who's doing a very similar kind of work. Or for that matter, let's say you want to interact with someone who's in the taxation team. It could be someone in PwC taxation. It could be someone in EY's taxation team that you have set up your time with. Now, how would I go about with that? Is that obviously I would research about the company. I would research about that person. And while I'm asking about what are the skills needed on the job, what are the responsibilities, how does a typical day look like, I'll bring in the conversation that what are the views around the recent crypto tax that has kicked in. Now, before you ask that question, your research should have been around what is the implication it has, how did it impact the trading of crypto market in the last 15 days post the tax kicking in. So you need to build up, and while the conversation happens, you have to showcase that you are aware about the recent tax law changes and you are able to analyze them and comprehend them, which makes me feel, if I am the person that you're interacting with, it makes me feel that you are aware about what is happening in the industry. How do you interpret tax laws? So you are someone who can do these things. So that ways you are able to showcase your expertise. And then when you say that, is there a job that you have? Can you refer me somewhere? For me, as someone who's in the company, I know that you have the skill set because you are aware about recent events. You have the skill sets to comprehend things. And it makes my life easier that if I have to hire you, I know that you will do the hard work of getting deep into the subject matter. Now, for any person who's hiring as a hiring manager, what is the best thing that you can expect from the team is that the person who's working is someone who can get to the depth of the subject, can think by themselves on what needs to be done, is able to make opinions and able to form view on that subject that you are dealing with. Again, sticking to, let's say, equity markets, and because we all deal in equities. So let's say you want to get into a job which is around equity research or equity trading. Obviously, very basic, you research about the company that you are going to work on or that you are meeting the person with. You research about what has happened in the stock market, what are the good and bad that has happened in the last couple of times. You would want to tell that, say, if we are doing the meeting today, you would want to talk about yesterday, the US inflation data that came in. How did it impact the market? You can talk about yesterday where Bank of Canada increased their interest rates by 1%. So all of these things make me feel that you are aware about the industry that you are in. You are aware about what is happening in the market and its implications on the financial market. So that's the way that I would have researched about, or I would have gone about. And another thing that I will tell you, again, a very basic thing is that get your LinkedIn profile right. Because when you interact with me and when you use that comment section and you use that when I post something on LinkedIn and when you comment on my post, or when you send me a message, 99% of the time, or I'll say 100% of the time, the I or anyone for that matter is going to click on your profile, see who you are, and whether I should spend time interacting with you. So if you don't have a profile picture, if you don't have written what you are doing, if you don't have your education background, I am least interested in interacting with you because I don't know who the other person is on that side of LinkedIn. And obviously, if you go and Google out how to make a good LinkedIn profile, you'll get plethora of articles. Please read that. I'm not going to go into the details of how to make a good LinkedIn profile, but just 4 points that I'm going to highlight, which is more than the obvious, is your profile picture. When I see your message, the first thing that I see is that who is the face behind this person. I have seen multiple profiles, and I'm really surprised that people do that, where they would have a very casual picture of themselves sitting in a chair holding a glass, or maybe sitting outside in a cafe. And maybe you would have also come across these profiles. I'm pretty sure we are some 120, 30 odd people on the chat group. I'm very, very confident that 50% of the profile pictures, if I have to go and see, either they will have zero profile picture, as in no profile picture, or a very unprofessional profile picture. And maybe I could have put in screenshots here of how unprofessional profile pictures look like. I did not want to do that naming and shaming, but please go and research on how your profile picture should be. There is a good app or there is a good website called Photo Feeler where you can upload your profile picture and people will comment on whether this is a good picture or a bad picture. And it gives you ranking on 0 to 10. Ideally, you should try to get a 7 or 8. Until you don't get a 7 or 8, keep taking different profile pictures, upload it on the website, take a feedback from people. It's an open website. So you can go and vote. Every one of us can go and vote. So it's like I don't know, maybe on Tinder when you swipe left or right, the same way you can click on vote whether it's a good picture or a bad picture. Do that because a profile picture is maybe 50% of the job done. There is a headline section. So write your keywords, write your skills. There is an about section. Write what you are, who you are. That's something where when you go in an interview, you typical question that an interviewer asks is tell me about yourself. So this about section in LinkedIn is that tell me about yourself, elevator pitch, 30 seconds to communicate to someone who you are, what you do. In that, because you are looking for a job, you should have your email ID. Because if I go through your LinkedIn profile, if I'm a recruiter, I'm going through your LinkedIn profile, I see that you are someone who I would like to interview. Instead of reaching out through LinkedIn, sending a message on LinkedIn saying that, are you interested? And here is the JD. Obviously, if there is an email ID, it's always better where I can email directly to you saying that this is the JD. Are you interested? So you get an email and you can converse on email. What it also helps is that you also get the email ID of the person that is recruiting. So it solves two purposes. For me as a recruiter, easy reach out to you. For you as a candidate, you get an email ID of the recruiter. If you are comfortable, and again, this is a very big if you are comfortable, also mention your phone number so that the recruiter can directly call you, message you, WhatsApp you, and the reach out is much faster. And again, I say it with a caveat, only put your phone number on a public platform if you are comfortable with. If you are not, an email ID is good enough. Another thing that I'll comment, and I don't see people doing it, again, I'm surprised why people don't do it, is that you need to showcase that what you have done is good. You need to showcase your expertise. So I'm going to talk about content in the next slide. But while you make your LinkedIn profile, a very easy way to showcase your expertise is that if you have done some summer internship, or if you have researched, or if you have done any project which you can put up on public platform, or which is not confidential. Let me put it that way. Maybe you have worked for a company and there are certain confidential things which the company does not want to go out. So obviously you don't use that. But maybe you have done some work which is not confidential, upload it on a Google Drive, use this about section and insert links of that Google Drive which showcases the work that you have done. Or maybe while in your education or any other area where you feel that you can put in this link, which as a recruiter, I can click on it. I can see what you have done. I can see that are you an expert in this field? That way, before calling you for an interview, I'm able to figure out that yes, you are a good candidate. And it increases your chance of being called for an interview because you are putting your work out there in public to be scrutinized. And only when you are confident of the work will you put out your work out in the open to get scrutinized. This is something which is not done by a lot of people, which is a very low used feature, but it has a very high impact because at the end of the day, you want to differentiate yourself from all the candidate pool that is out there. Everyone has done BCom, everyone would have done their MBAs, everyone would have done CA, CFA, very similar profiles that I get. How do I differentiate between you and the other person? So maybe in my chat window, I can see Shivani, I can see Raj, I can see Anshul, three people sending me a CV, or I come across three different profiles on LinkedIn. How do I differentiate one from the other? Because everyone would be from the same college, let's say you are all in the same college, you would have done similar courses. How do I differentiate one over the other? Is where one person has put in their work out there, which I can look at it. Immediately, I'm tilted towards that person because I know that person has done some work and that person is ready to be scrutinized and asked questions on the work. So, Raj, I'll repeat this point. I'm saying that if you have done any work, any summer project, any summer internships, any projects, if again, and I'll use this because I've seen some people do it. If you are an MBA student and you research about a company and whether its share price is accurate, you use a discounted cash flow model or any other model, an Excel model to find out the price of the company, do some macroeconomic research, whatever your output is or whatever your conclusion is, make a Google Drive link on it. So upload on Google Drive, make a link, put it up on LinkedIn as your about section or maybe in your job section or education section, so that I, as someone who's coming onto your profile, can look at it and see that you are an expert in the field who has done certain work in this area. You can use the same tactic to put it on your CV as well, so that when I'm looking at your CV, I click on the link, it takes me to your work. It makes me more confident that you are standing out from the crowd that I'm going to interview. So that's something that you should do to stand out from the crowd. And this is something which is very different from what others would have done. And this is more from the obvious. And Rahul is saying where to put it in the CV. So maybe in the CV, you say that, let's say, and Raj, because you asked this question. So Samarth has done this. Samarth, yes, Samarth, it would be great if you can share something. Maybe you can send me a message on my LinkedIn and I'll give you my email ID. And Samarth, you can share your CV and I can look into it. But Raj, to your question, where do you put it on your CV? Let's say you have done a summer internship. And again, I keep using EY as an example because it comes naturally to me. But let's say you have done your summer internship at EY where you made a discounted cash flow model to analyze companies or analyze share price of companies. And it's something which is publicly allowed to be shared by EY. They don't mind you sharing it with other people. In your CV, when you say that you interned with EY, and below that you'll write your 2-3 things that you have done at EY, as a third bullet or second bullet, give the link of the work that you have done, so that when I look at CV, I click on it and I actually see what you have done. So instead of you coming to an interview and telling कि मैंने ये करा, मैंने वो करा, मैंने ये model बनाया, वो model बनाया, for me all that is only words. I don't see an action. But when you put that up on Google and I see that in the link, that's action for me. This is my first name, last name. Maybe Samarth first add me on LinkedIn. I'll not put my email ID on the platform, but anyone who's interested to interact with me, and I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, just add me up on LinkedIn and we can take the conversation forward. So Manju, yes, this is the LinkedIn ID. Just search Pranav Chudgar, fairly unique name. You'll be able to find me. You can search Pranav Chudgar Motherson, Pranav Chudgar EY. I'll come up on that LinkedIn search. Send me the request and we can interact more over there, because anyways we might run out of time today. The next thing is something that you would have heard multiple times, but obviously the reason that you have heard multiple times is that not everyone does it. On LinkedIn, there are some surveys or some statistics which say that only 1% of people create content on LinkedIn, which means the other 99% are only consumer, or maybe they don't use LinkedIn as often. This one person is a person that is an inspiration even for me. This person, Basak Chaturvedi, if I recall correctly, he is an MBA student, or he was an MBA student. Now he's already working somewhere. I have never met him. It's only on LinkedIn that I have seen him. Maybe he doesn't even know that I exist, but I follow him. So imagine someone like me with a 15, 16 year of experience following someone who has just passed out of MBA and in awe of this person, primarily because he writes a newsletter, a weekly newsletter on banking. He creates content on banking. He has built his personal brand, a newsletter called Bank on Basak, and he publishes it every week religiously. I'm not in banking, but if I was in banking and if I had to hire someone in my team, without a doubt, I would have hired him. Because right from his MBA days, he has been creating content on banking. He has a great understanding on banking. So I think when I took this screenshot, this was somewhere in January of 2021. And you can see on the top half of the screen that this person had already started working as wealth in wealth management. I think he's in some other place now. But this is a screenshot that I had taken because he was an inspiration for me and is something that I will tell you to do. Again, how to write content, what to write, I leave it to you because there is plenty of material available out there. I'm not going to spend time on the obvious things that you can Google and figure out. But my only message is write on LinkedIn, build your personal brand. I'll tell you my own example. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, which is Pranav Chudgar, and you can just do Pranav LinkedIn/Pranav Chudgar, you'll find me. I write on financial markets. So that's a brand that I've created, that if there is anything related to currencies, anything related to global financial markets, be it equities, currencies, commodities, I write about it and I've created that personal brand around my content. So now, whenever there is any person who wants to know something, I get calls from people. Maybe I would have interacted once or twice, but they would say that, "Yaar, tu expert hai, tu bata." And then they'll ask, they'll pose that problem that they have. It could be related to their corporate treasury. So, because I write on treasury, it could be around the financial markets, the US interest rates, the euro dollar currency pair, or maybe dollar yen as a currency pair. Any and everything to do with financial markets. People have told कि यार तू expert है, तू बता क्या करना चाहिए. So that's how you build your own personal brand. And Laksh, thank you for putting this up on LinkedIn or on Zoom. And again, Laksh is someone who interned at EY with me. So while I was at EY, Laksh was interning at EY with me. I moved to Motherson, and currently Laksh is interning with me at Motherson. So he created his personal brand while he was at EY because he showcased that he was an expert. He knew his subject matter. His summer internship project at EY was on the Chinese banking, wholesale banking, and the whole China market from a Chinese banks and how the banks are operating. Because we were working with a client who was based out, who had operations in China. We had to consult him. Laksh helped us. Laksh did a wonderful project out there. When I came to Motherson, again, I was looking for an intern. My first phone call was to Laksh asking him, "Are you interested?" He said yes. And right now, as we speak, he's interning with me for another 2 months. He created his personal brand. And maybe it's an open forum, and I'll be happy if at the end of his graduation, Laksh says to me that, "Pranav, I'm interested to work for Motherson." I'll be more than happy to have him in my team. And I'm saying this on a public forum, Laksh. So that's how you create your personal brand. So it's not just LinkedIn where you can get your job. It's also your summer internships, your projects, your expertise that you have created that can land you a job. Because at the end of the day, the topic today was how do you get a job on through LinkedIn. And my final take on this is that while you apply for jobs, so obviously you do all of the steps that I mentioned, you apply for the job. While you send your CV, customize your CV. And this is a screenshot from my EY days, where at EY, when we consulted clients, we had to showcase that I was an expert in a particular area. And as client, the client would come to me for risk management. They would come to me for investment advisory, or they would come to EY for investment advisory, or maybe something related to commodities, something related to treasury, something related to internal audit. I had created these 6 or 7 different CVs depending on the client's requirement or the expert requirement. I had my CVs made so that I would send that to the client. You have to do the same when you are applying. Obviously, it's not that you will apply to only one kind of job. Maybe you will apply to a job in banking, you'll apply to a job in corporate, you'll apply in a fintech company, you will apply in an FMCG company, you'll apply in the research wing, in the accounting side, in investment side. So it could be related to company, it could be related to function. Customize your CV, because I, as a recruiter, will want to know your expertise in my domain. So if I'm hiring, let's say in auto industry, I'm in auto industry now. If you have done something related to auto industry, excellent. If you have done something on the corporate side, again, excellent. But if you send me a standard CV where you say that I've done something in banking, I've done some summer projects in banking, I have done some research in banking, and you send that CV to someone in JP Morgan, you send that CV to someone in EY, which is consulting, and you send the same CV to me, I'm in corporate. For me, it is not relevant. For the consulting guy, it is not relevant. But if you can customize, if you can highlight one skill which is more than the other skill. So obviously, these days you would have done multiple projects in multiple areas. You have to choose which project you want to highlight more and which work you want to highlight lesser. Maybe in CV1, you highlight one area and the other point is lesser highlighted. In another CV, your second work, which was highlighted less, you highlight that more. Which means आपने अगर लेट्स से आपने कोई अकाउंटिंग में इंटर्नशिप करी है और दूसरी इंटर्नशिप आपने रिसर्च में करी है, वेयर यू डिड सम इक्विटी रिसर्च. आप जब जॉब के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो एंड इट्स एन अकाउंटिंग जॉब, you highlight the accounting job, and you, when I say highlight, it means that you write more about the accounting job, less about the equity research job. In another application, you are applying to an equity research company, तो वहां पे आप इक्विटी रिसर्च के बारे में ज्यादा स्पेस यूज करोगे, ज्यादा लिखोगे. अकाउंटिंग के रिलेटेड कम लिखोगे, क्योंकि जिसका जो रेलेवेंस है आप वो ही भेजोगे. सो दैट्स हाउ once you use LinkedIn to get the time with the person, you convert that into an interview. Once you convert that in an interview, and when you actually have to make a CV, that's how you do it. Now, the other thing is, because you have showcased your expertise to me, and let's say I'm not hiring, but I know someone else in finance is hiring. I say, let me just take a name, and let's say Samarth has interacted with me. He sent me his CV, which we discussed just now. I find it appealing. I send, and we interact 2-3 times. And it is through LinkedIn that we have interacted. When I send his CV to someone in Motherson or someone in EY or someone of my friend, I am advocating Samarth, saying that Samarth is a great candidate. Before walking into the interview room, Samarth has already created a positive impact, and his chances of bagging that job are higher because there is an advocate who's promoting Samarth, and it's not just a random walk-in interview that happens. So again, the whole idea here is to use LinkedIn to interact with people who are in the companies that you want to go, in the domains that you want to go, people who are relevant to the field that you're interested in. Interact with them, comment on their posts, do it for a couple of days, send them a message saying that I learned from you through your posts, I got to know these things. उनका थोड़ा ego massaging करो. That's the way I'll put it. Do some ego massaging. उनको थोड़ा चने के झाड़ पे चढ़ाओ, so that when you make that message that can I meet you, can I talk to you, because I want to understand how the job market works. I want a job. The chances of the person replying back increases exponentially. So now that you have done that, when you talk to that person, research on what is to be done. And I'm just summarizing all the things that we were discussing till now. Let me just, so we discussed about finding the right people, commenting on their post, चने के झाड़ पे चढ़ाओ, जब उनसे बात करने जाओ, research about the company, about the work that they are doing, be open about what you want out of that 15-30 minute of conversation. In the end, mention that you are looking for a job, and then obviously send the CV and do the things. I was also talking about how do you use LinkedIn, get a professional picture, use a website called Photo Filler, use headlines, about section, showcase your work, build your personal brand, very important. And finally, when you send that CV, customize your CV. So I think we are nearing the end of the session. Let me see some of the questions that you had asked. Sayush, and maybe I'm opening up to the Q&A part. So any questions that you have, write it in the chat window. Let me know how the session was. Very interested to know what did you like, what did you not like, what do you want to know more about? And maybe I heard someone. So I heard Suyansh saying, can you show a sample of how to highlight skills according to the job? Maybe I'll tell Shrajan and Masters Union. We can have another session when I can dedicatedly talk for this topic, because again, it's an interesting topic, or it's an interesting take on how should you do it. Again, Samarth has a question that what are the job roles that you should expect with a financial modeling, Excel, BBA, finance degree? Again, Shrajan, maybe a to-do for you. We can do another session on job profiles. But Samarth, to answer your question, you can target anything in the analytics department, in the fintech industry, because that's a very big industry. You can target an analyst role. It could be in consulting, it could be in banking, because these industries are very big hires of people at analyst level with a financial modeling and an Excel expertise. Poonam is asking, does it mean that if someone does an interaction through LinkedIn and has a good profile, can you directly land a job without going through the interview process? Well, if you are interacting with that person for those 15 minutes, 30 minutes, treat it like a job interview. But the job interview will never stop. So even if I had to hire someone, and even if I have to hire Laksh for that matter, because I was talking about Laksh, he did his 2 internships with me. Even when I have to hire him, when he comes to office tomorrow, and if we take this conversation forward, I'm going to ask him certain questions which are very interview related. So an interview will always happen. The modes of interview can be different. It could be during a casual conversation with Laksh over coffee, where I ask him, you have done your BBA. What are your plans for MBA? Because if you do your BBA and at some point he'll do his MBA. So I know, Laksh will only be there for 3 years or 4 years. He'll go for it higher studies at some point. So I need to know how much time will he be with the company. I need to know कि अभी तो वो इंटर्नशिप में वो 2 दिन छुट्टी भी कर लेगा तो मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, because it's an internship. I can't be as harsh to him. But if he is working, I need to know that how will he plan his day, because maybe he travels 1 hour to come to office. Maybe it only takes him 10 minutes to come to office. How much can he take work apart from what he has done? So obviously there will be interview process. It might not be a formal interview where you sit across the table for that 30 minutes or 1 hour. It could be different conversations where I understand that person and then make that offer. But in the end, obviously there will be an HR process, an interview that happens. There will be series of approvals. So it's maybe, let's say, I might not be the final decision maker. I say that I like Laksh and I want him in my team, but I need to even go to my boss and say that you also evaluate that person. So interview process to hone hi wala hai, just that the modes of interview changes. But obviously you have an advocate. So for Laksh, and this is a live example that I'm saying, that if Laksh goes into my boss's cabin for an interview, I would have already advocated for Laksh, and I'll say, yaar, ye to ek bas formality hai, and finish this off. Maybe Shrajan, we can take these comments. Someone is saying, Avinash is saying how to crack finance interviews. So we can have another topic, and I think there's a lot of topics coming in.
Definitely. So I guess the barrage of questions will not stop. Students always have so much of queries in their head, and that's
I
the
think
reason why we.
there is an interesting one since we both had a Big Four background. Deepak is asking what skills do Big Four look into. So maybe we can have one session on how Big Fours work and give them inside information on what is to be done.
Definitely, definitely. So, thank you so much for your time. And to everyone, Pranav has been my mentor. He was my reporting director when I was in EY, so I have learned a lot from him. And just to give you a small update, that at Masters Union, as you know, that we have a program in applied finance with KPMG, and we do such sessions, career services sessions with mentors like Pranav. So definitely, it's very tough to answer all the queries on everything in just one hour session. So you can definitely go and check out our course. And if you want further guidance on this thing, you can probably just visit the websites. I'm putting the websites in the link in the chat window. So once again, finally, thank you so much, Pranav, and we will definitely have you for more sessions with our students. So thank you very much.